Hi, I'm Colleen Caro. Welcome to Avant-Grad, Ohio's Trailblazers. I am so proud to be here at Ohio University's own beautiful LGBTQ Center here in Baker University Center on the Athens campus. It's a place of diversity, inclusivity, support, safety, friendship, and joy. And these are all things championed by our next guest. David Collins is a 1985 graduate of what's now the Scripps College of Communication. From his start working at WOUB and the Athens International Film and Video Festival, he blazed a trail creating Queer Eye for the Straight Guy and other groundbreaking programs, and he has 6 Emmys to show for it. You will love hearing about David's student days and also his passion for thoughtful storytelling that lifts up the many voices we need to hear. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Avant-Grad, Ohio's Trailblazers. Hi, David.
Hi, Colleen. How are you?
I am fabulous. It's such a thrill to talk to you today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I have a confession to make. I think preparing for this podcast episode is the most fun I've ever had. I actually am wondering if I could just please spend all my days and nights going down the rabbit hole, watching all of your shows, and because it's just so much fun, so many enlightening, wonderful stories about people.
Yeah, about people, right? You got it. You nailed it. Yeah, that's what we do. We tell stories about folks who normally don't get an opportunity to tell their story. Something we say a lot internally is this isn't about giving someone the voice. They have their voice. This is about handing them the microphone and giving them the platform to tell their story. So that part is critical for us at Scout.
Absolutely. So just for our audience, you are perhaps best known for your work creating Queer Eye, although your production company, Scout Productions, has done so much more, and you have done so much more, and we will get into that. But you are definitely fit the profile of the alumni trailblazer for Ohio University. Queer Eye was, a real trailblazer in reality TV. If today, in 2021, reality TV is just a thing, right? It's just a thing. Like, of course, it's there. It's what happens. It's part of our popular culture. But back in 2003. That was not the case. And, the Bravo network was just getting started. And then also, interestingly, the Queer Eye reboot on Netflix launched Netflix's foray into unscripted series. So yet again, and then with Legendary for HBO Max, same thing. So you keep doing it.
I'm at the right place at the right time, right? It's a little bit of luck and a little bit of just, being at the right place at the right time. Definitely, for sure. But we're very proud.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that a little bit. Right place at the right time. I would love to just start with a little bit of your background. Born and raised in Cincinnati.
Hometown, Cincinnati, corn-fed boy.
Class president, which somehow strikes me as no surprise.
Lakota High School, 1985. Yay!
Yeah, class of 85. And is it true that you once thought about being a veterinarian?
That is very true. I don't know if Sarah told you that or not, but yes, I wanted to be a large animal farm vet because I grew up in Westchester. It was all farmland. And believe it or not, I was in FFA, Future Farmers of America. And I almost won national public speaking championship for the FFA Creed. I believe in the future of farming with a faith born not of words, but of deeds. Achievements, no, I won't go on. But yes, I remember the FFA Creed through and through.
So, all right, David, how did you get from wanting to be a veterinarian to being a producer? Ohio University is in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, OU definitely came into there. I will give credit to a high school guidance counselor.
Okay.
Who said to me, I got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is you don't have the grades to be a vet. The good news is I think you have the personality to do something in entertainment. And I had been doing, we believe it or not, in high school, had a little local radio, DJ booth at our high school, and I would go in there and mess around. And so it was a little bit early in the days of radio, right? It was, my idea was, all right, I'll check out this radio thing. And my high school counselor happened to know that WOUB was a public radio station and television station based at Ohio University, and said, you should check out OU. And coincidentally, my grandfather he was a podiatrist. He went to the OU School of Podiatry, or whatever they had there at the time. It's another school. I can't remember at OU. What is that? It's
We have the Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine.
Osteopathic medicine. That's where it was. Yeah. And he was actually he was in one of the fraternities, and so I kind of had all the stars aligned.
Yeah,
they're like, all right, let me do it. So that's how I ended up at OU.
We hear that so often about Ohio University, that there are family members or friends or alumni who, help get in touch. And I love that your guidance counselor was very intentional and thoughtful and knew you well enough to guide you. That's a really, really lovely story. And when you were at Ohio University, so you mentioned WOUB. I know you spent a lot of time there. My friend Sarah Schneider also mentioned the film festival.
Oh, the Athens International Film Festival.
Which is still a fabulous thing today.
Oh, it is. That actually probably, I will say, that probably had one of the most important parts of my college career that led me to what I do now. I became so passionate about all of the early indie films that we were bringing into the festival. And Ruth, is Ruth still there? No, Ruth's not there.
Ruth is still here, yes.
No, she is? Oh my goodness. Hello, Ruth. How are you? Big hug to Ruth. I was the like TV and radio coordinator. So I did the press, the PR for the festival with Sarah, actually. I learned a lot from Sarah.
Yeah.
But those were the early days of actually learning how to produce, right? Like becoming a producer is like, producing is just doing things, right? You see something that needs to get done, you do it. That's producing.
Yeah, I wanted also, for the benefit of our audience and for students, we hear producer, production company. What does a producer do? And I love what you just said. You just do it.
You just do. It's in front of you, and you take care of business, right? That's what producing is. My humble beginnings after I graduated from OU in the summer of '89. Talk about being at the right place at the right time. I went to the local Cincinnati film office to offer my services as an intern, and happened to really strike gold there. She asked me if I could run to the airport to pick someone up. And
I know, I have a feeling I know who it was, but go ahead.
And that story is that I ended up picking up Jodie Foster and Peggy Reisky. Jodie was directing her directorial debut of a film called Little Man Tate, and Peggy Reisky was the producer. And I talk about being a lucky guy. I got to walk right into their hands and work for them for the next 2 years, learning from them literally everything that you can imagine of an indie film. Because back then, that was an indie film, believe it or not. That was a small film that we did, and Jodie really embraced me and brought me into her world. And I got to take some of that experience I had from OU and apply it to just getting things done for her.
It's so incredible. In that film, that is one of my favorite all-time films. Such an incredible human story. I remember sitting in the theater watching that film. It had a great, great impact on me.
Yeah, it's a sweet, sweet little story for sure. But WOUB and the radio station and television station while I was at OU was also just critical, right? Like I got such hands-on training at OU that I think still to this day, I know as a graduate, when I graduated, I knew so much more than any other, kids my age coming into the business, right? I had already been in studios. I had multicam shoots. I knew how to edit. Like I really knew how to edit on, Sony Avid machines. There was it wasn't pre-Avid, but I definitely had a lot of skill sets from OU that I don't think, at a lot of universities back in the 80s, you were getting those types of true hands-on experience.
Right. You're a great fan and champion of Ohio University to this day. Your experience, of course, was fabulous. That the technical experience, your academic experience, but you mentioned friendships a little bit ago, and you just seem so affectionate about your time. So, what else was it for you? On campus, your friendships, your relationships, the culture. You talk about being a gay man who was out on campus. I've seen interviews with you where you say, I was out, but not many people were, or, other people who were gay or maybe didn't know they were gay yet, tell me a little bit about more your personal experience and what culture was like for you.
Sure. Well, look, I think Ohio University at large, right? I grew up in Ohio. I wasn't terribly far away from home. It was 3.5, 4 hours, right? From home. But OU is this beautiful, safe little valley, a melting pot of people, and the international level, let alone all beautiful colors of the rainbow there. But it's so many different people from everywhere. I remember my first roommate was from Jersey, and Sarah and Amy Jo and Kristen, and everyone and Bill from Pittsburgh, right? They were from the Berg. And I don't know, everyone just kind of melded into this beautiful place. And this is a true story of how I met Sarah. It was my first night on campus, and I happened to be walking across the green, and I had one friend that I had known from Cincinnati who said, "Oh, well, when I'm there, you see, well, I ran into him, and he said, 'Oh, I'm going to a party up on West State Street.'" And I followed him, my little scared little 18-year-old freshman self, and walked into Sarah's house, where I think there were 4 guys and 4 girls all living in this big house. It was literally an episode of Friends. And 3 guys and 3 girls. Actually, it was Bill, Brian, Dan, Sarah, Kate, and I'm missing one in there. Anyways, it was magical. And I mean magical, because everybody was just hanging out, having a beer, chilling, but they had all come back together. They were a year ahead of me.
Okay.
So I got the cool kids. I ran into the cool kids bunch, and they embraced me and brought me into that world. And to your point, made me feel really comfortable, and comfortable in a way that, to be comfortable in your own skin, and to be able at, 1985 to say that you're out and gay. It was, it was a little dicey there still.
Yeah, that's the thing for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a dicey moment still. But I kind of was unabashedly me. I wasn't necessarily like, "Hey, I'm the gay guy." I was just David. And you knew that either you knew I was gay or not. I had a boyfriend all through college. What a mistake. Any student listening now, do not have a boyfriend or girlfriend during college. Enjoy yourself. Although he was a great guy. But it was one of those things where I found OU to be just the safe place for me to be me, and learn who I was. And those friendships are forever, right? I mean, honestly, Sarah, Amy Jo Unkefer was her unmarried. Her name is Cosgrove now, but Amy Jo and I met first week and have literally been best friends for 30 years. It's pretty darn amazing our history of what and John Hetman, another one of my dear friends. So we met down on South Green, where we were in the cafeteria holding our trays, sitting down at the tables. I don't know. There's just something really, really special. It's hard to explain to people, right? That I always joke Harvard on the Hocking,
Yep.
the cobblestone streets, the beauty of OU just it flows, right? It just from the bagel buggy to the burrito buggy to going to O'Hooley's, all of those firsts and kind of just that idea that you're going from class to hang with your friends, and it is college, right? But there's something special and different about OU. I don't.
There absolutely is. And I love hearing these stories. And it's funny, every podcast episode I do, it's the same kind of thing, the same theme, right? Very special place, a place where you can become yourself.
Yeah.
I'm also a Bobcat. I actually have 3 degrees from the university and love hearing your stories about O'Hooley's, especially Saturday night alternative dance night, because I spent
Oh
many
yeah,
Saturday night at O'Hooley's.
that's
But
where it was.
yeah,
And that was, talking about the gay thing, right? That's where like you knew the guys who were there were kind of like, huh, is this a gay bar? Is it not gay? It's alternative, right? So it made it cool. The cool kids came. But oh my gosh, the mixtapes they used to play there and
oh
throw
yeah,
on the tape, and what a night. Every day. We would dance until you're just drenched. That
oh
teeny little dance floor, right? The
yeah. Hmm.
smallest little dance floor, and 100 of us jammed in there trying to do our best. It was great.
So great. So I have a question for you. A burning question is, where did you get your courage? So just all of the things you've been involved in, and maybe you don't see yourself as a courageous person. I know sometimes it's odd to hear yourself characterized in a certain way, but your candor, your bravery in approaching the projects that you do, your comfort in your own skin. When you were in college, you said you didn't run into a room and say, hey, I'm gay, I'm just David, I am who I am. But again, this was 1985. And even in 2003, when Queer Eye came out, just the word queer, right, was not a word you heard every day that was accepted and that people were okay with using and hearing. So to me, you seem a very courageous and compassionate person, but where does that courage come from?
You know, I'll tell you what first comes to mind is a little bit of a not a sad moment, but a real moment, right? Was that I did grow up in the cornfields of Ohio, which meant Southern Baptist, evangelical, fire and brimstone foundation, right? Church
Yeah.
Wednesdays and Sundays, 2 and 3 times a day, spending my life there. And I was that little boy who sat in the pew listening to a preacher tell him that he was going to burn in hell for being who he was. That little boy was not welcome, that little boy should not be who he is. And I will tell you that, call it a spiritual moment, a spiritual awakening. But when I was 11 years old, I was sitting in church, and it was definitely a fire and brimstone sermon about homosexuality. And I heard a very clear, loud voice inside of my head say, he's not telling the truth. This is not true. This is not for you. This is not who this is. Just so you know, I love you as you are. Go, be you.
Wow,
And
that's
it
awesome.
was in that moment that I realized that because that guy on the stage in a suit standing at the pulpit, I didn't, that the kid in me, the child, is taught to believe that. And something told me no. And so, to the word courage, I think that came out of that moment when I realized that, wait a second, no, I am who I am. And I tell you, where that really pays off is being a daddy myself now, right? So I have 12-year-olds who are night and day, beautiful girls, Ella and Olive. And Ella, very, very young, had said to me very clearly, Daddy, I'm a girl, but I love boys' things. And I instantly knew, yeah, of course you do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. And so there was never, ever, and for whoever she becomes and whatever she becomes and whatever my children, whoever they choose to love, right? And for them to love, as long as they are in a loving, healthy, beautiful relationship, it doesn't matter. It's a man or a woman or black or brown or whatever, right? It doesn't matter. It's just love. And so for me, that courage comes from knowing that I am loved and that that I want to share that love. My family has a thing on the in the kitchen. We have a framed poster that says, "Work hard and be kind to people." And I really think life is that uncomplicated. We
Yeah.
work hard, and along the way, we just need to be kind to people and loving and share that. So I will say that my courage, thank you for that, though, comes from that rougher childhood
Yeah.
and realizing that you know what, life is so much more than telling and judging someone.
It really strikes me hearing your story, and thank you so much for sharing that. I can really see you sitting there and absorbing all of that messaging and having that moment.
Yeah,
And I can feel your heart there. And it strikes me that almost like that little boy and that little boy's voice is the voice so similar to those individuals whose stories your productions have told.
yeah,
So again, some of my fun research, I watched a very early episode of Queer Eye with my 4 and 6-year-olds, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll recall his name, but it
Early
was
from original or from the new series?
from the original. So I went way
Oh,
back.
the original.
And so
Okay.
this was, it was a couple in Las Vegas, a magician and his artist wife in
Oh
Las
my
Vegas
gosh, yeah. I
with
remember that.
the mauve poodle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's
Well, my
funny.
kids loved it. They were just
Yeah,
enchanted.
that's a good episode for kids. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. There were a few saucy moments, but it went right over their heads.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But just great story about these two soulful people and such love they had in their relationship. Just a wonderful relationship. And then fast forward to the more recent episode I watched was the 10-year-old girl Lucy, who nominated her father, part of a
Oh
divorced
yeah.
couple.
Right.
Lucy, the ice skater, the figure skater, yes, and of course her
Yeah.
father was
What a great
struggling with
episode.
depression. Yeah, and I look at these stories, and especially that more recent one with this big guy, right? This big strong dad struggling with depression, but so in love with his daughter, so willing to be open and vulnerable and do anything to her, and just those stories that you're bringing to life about the human spirit and human experience.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Queer Eye has definitely evolved, right? Over almost 20 years now
Yeah,
from the original concept to the new incarnation at Netflix. And I think for us, this idea of transformation has always been at the core, right? This isn't about a new haircut or a new couch or a new outfit, right? But about transformation inside out. And this idea of evolving, right? And that you and I get to help each other transform and elevate up by sharing our stories like we're doing right now. Me sharing with you and you sharing with me allows that transformation to happen. So we kind of apply that filter to all of our storytelling at Scout.
yeah,
Transformation through information told with comedy that has heart. And that is our saying, if you will, that we use to apply to almost everything. Whether it's now legendary, which is set in the ballroom culture
yeah,
of right from the old days of Paris is Burning, or Pose, which is Ryan Murphy's show. This is celebrating a very marginalized community, right? The LGBTQIA community It's set in the ballroom world, heavily African American trans community that is been, quite frankly, shunned and put off into the corner for many, many, many years. What a beautiful opportunity to not only affirm this world, but to celebrate this world and to
Right.
bring this world to everyone to see on HBO Max. We just finished shooting season 2
Oh,
uh,
good.
in the middle of COVID and the craziness, but again another very special season where all of these beautiful houses and house parents get to come together and celebrate their families and have fun along the way, right? Have a lot of fun along the way.
And the beautiful thing is those stories are out there. So those kids who you were, that child,
Yeah.
and those children and adults who need to see themselves, hear those stories, hear those messages, they have those because of these productions.
And that's the truth. I'll tell you, just for Michael, my business partner and ex-husband, he and I, in raising our daughters, I think if there's anything that we're so proud of doing is allowing them to see that, look, back then, Daddy and Papa barely could get married, right? Like
Right.
we weren't, and it doesn't compute for them the same way. They're like, what? For them, they don't get it. And that I will be forever grateful that someday, honestly, and I believe this, that there won't be coming out anymore, right? There isn't need, you don't need to come out. You're just you, right? You're gay, you're straight, like that label and that idea of kids having to have a fear of coming out and being who they are. Oh, my prayers for that to go away, right?
I feel like that it's almost happening. It's starting to happen now a little bit. So, for example, you talked about your daughter, and she shared who she is, right? What she
Yeah,
likes. You're her
yeah,
father, so you knew that.
yeah,
And I have examples of that in my own community and family, and so it's exciting, right, to see that
yeah.
in little
Exactly.
ways, in little
Exactly.
ways.
Exactly. And that dialogue will change and evolve, right? Because that's all we're trying to do is evolve as humans, as humanity,
Mhm.
not be like we were, right? But
Right.
see the new light and understand that there is opportunity for growth and change. And change is good, right? It's healthy.
And I think about evolution, especially over the last year. You mentioned COVID, shooting the second season of Legendary during COVID, and I'm wondering if COVID and the pandemic have shaped your production company at all, have changed, shifted things for you. Of course, it's been a very turbulent last year with race relations and politics and all of that. And so I'm wondering if that has affected your focus or your journey at all professionally.
If anything, we've been fortunate to kind of double down creatively and work even harder during this time. We were very fortunate that we had shot a whole bunch of stuff right before the pandemic started. So believe it or not, we had 6 shows launched during the past year that we had already shot the year before, which allowed us this year to do a lot of development. So we're about to go out with some new shows series that we're very excited about. We're starting to shoot a new one for HBO Max called The Hype with Offset, and it's set in the streetwear world. It's an arcing competition show set in streetwear, which we're really excited about. We have 3 new amazing documentaries coming at 3 different streamers.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah,
I know I wanted to ask you, so I appreciate you. That was a question. What can you tell us about what you're working on?
Yeah, well, the hype for sure right now, right? We are that's kind of going to come on the tail end of Legendary season 2. We will launch the hype, and that is a new world for us. It's a fashion streetwear competition where we have 9 designers who are, streetwear is kind of art meets commerce, right? And people don't really understand streetwear, as much as they always think just fashion or couture, right? But those worlds have started to meld, and streetwear is no longer this kind of separate thing. You walk into Bloomingdale's or Neiman Marcus or wherever, and all of the designers have their streetwear labels. So we've created a really cool world where these up and coming designers in a very authentic modern way are competing. It's not like Project Runway or Making the Cut. It's got its own kind of vibe and world to it. So we're really proud of that. And that actually starts shooting on Friday. What? So we literally wrapped Legendary season 2 on last Friday.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot happening. But again, really, honestly, just blessed beyond belief with, despite the pandemic, that we have been able to create and stay focused on so many amazing new shows along the way. And season 6 of Queer Eye is about to start shooting in Austin, Texas.
Thank goodness. Another season. We need it.
We do need. It's been a while since we've had some new Queer Eye episodes. So I know that Netflix is very excited for us to try to get them shot and out before the end of the year, I think.
It's so fabulous hearing also about your business partner, long-standing business partner. I don't know if you mentioned or if I just know from my research that you met Michael, I think, while working on Little Man Tate.
I did.
So many years later, you're still business partners. You're raising, your twin daughters together, and I feel like you are a person who really, like, you walk the talk. So you're so compassionate, courageous, and just you are who you are. You seem like you have a really big heart, and so I wonder, like, how does this business relationship work so many decades later? We hear about these strong powerhouse business partners, and things crumble or crash, but you seem just so solid.
Yeah, we've been through a lot, I met Michael when I was 21, and and we were together for quite some time as a couple, right? As a team. And I think, look, through the hardships of marriage and running a business and all of those things, and by the way, traveling cross country in all different ways, we really grew up together. So as young men, right? And now as older men and daddies, we have kind of really clear partnership, right? We run a business together, and we're raising 2 beautiful daughters together. And so we know our lane, and we know our relationship and what it is that we're doing. And I'll tell you, it would be awful sad if you were married to someone for 25 years and you didn't still love them and think they're the greatest person in the world. He's an amazing man. He's been the greatest business partner. He's the best papa in the whole world. And we're really fortunate. We have beautiful daughters who are really so creative themselves, which is so much fun to watch them bloom and become young women. And of course, I am pushing hard for OU.
Yeah.
Sarah got her son there. Manoff got both of his kids there. If it's my biggest hope, I'm like, ladies, come on. So I'll bring them there this summer again and kind of wet the whistle. They're only in 6th grade, so we got a bit. But
yeah, you got a bit of time to work on them.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you help them navigate popular culture as a father? And you're in it, you're in the thick of it. So I'm curious, parent to parent, I have 3 at home myself.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
That's a good question. In the day and age of all things electronic, right? The iPads and social media and all of that, it's tough. There's a little bit of a crazy correlation, but I do think that when I grew up, right, we weren't allowed to eat sugar cereal. We weren't allowed to have Coke. But when we went to my grandmother's house, all we did was eat sugar cereal and drink Coke. Like, we couldn't eat enough. And then as an adult, like, Coke, yay, sugar cereal. And because I was told no. So I've kind of adopted this idea, like, all right, we have our screen time and we see things. And right now they're 12, so they're in that. We're changing. We're a
Yeah.
tween. We're getting to that age where the things on YouTube or this, but we're pretty strict around here with regard to screen time. And the real answer is there's no phones until we said we will talk about it at 14. We will
Wow.
talk about a phone at 14. They have iPads, which are fine, right? So they can communicate via their iPads and text with us. Um, but honestly, I think we grow up fast already. You
Yeah.
know, we grow up fast already, and my real philosophy is to tell them that I'm like, ladies, ooh, let's slow down, right?
You
Like,
got the rest of your lives.
yeah, the rest of your lives, girls. There's no need to rush this, and it's worked pretty well. We're there. Like I said, I'm pretty blessed. I have good kids. They're smart and funny and loving, and yeah, I'm a blessed daddy.
That's fantastic. Well, it shows. Your pride definitely shows.
Thank
Absolutely. So I'd like to go back to Ohio as a way of just starting to wrap up a little bit. I know we'll keep chatting a little bit because I know you have a lot more great stories.
you.
But
Yeah,
I'm wondering if there was a favorite spot on campus for you. So on campus meaning like, you know, the college campus. So like the college
yeah,
green or, something like that. Any particular spot
sure.
stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Well, I lived at 66 West State.
Right. I knew that would
Um,
come up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Sarah and her posse lived at 77, right? West State. Was I
Okay.
77 and she was 66? I don't remember. But we were across the street from one
In a
another.
prior interview, you said 66.
Yeah, it's 66.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 66 is where I was, and she was across the street at 77. And that house, it was owned by a local attorney. I don't remember his name. I wish I did. He was great. He was a great landlord because his office was below us and we were upstairs. I don't know how he ever worked, but that house has such fond memories of just hanging out. But on the campus itself, um, you know, probably the college green. I loved the library, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I remember the library is so beautiful. It really was, right? The campus is just stunning to begin
It's
with.
gorgeous.
It's
Yeah.
just gorgeous. And the library was so beautifully done. And, I probably didn't spend enough time there, but the time that I did spend at the library, I always remember feeling really grateful that I was in such a beautiful space, and I felt smart. I felt grounded and connected, and like, oh, I'm doing something right, um, which was great. But I'll tell you, the hills going between down to the green. Um, my mind is escaping me, but what was that hill called? It was
Or Jeff Hill. So Jeff Hill and Morton Hill.
Jeff Hill.
Going down to Jefferson and then
Right
kind of.
down to Jefferson. Yeah. I lived in Bryan Hall, right? The one right at the top. Is it
Yep.
Bryan or Bryant Hall? Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was the big one. It was I lucked out on again. Me and my lucky. I ended up in a super single there. Oh my goodness. And by the way, a rear facing super single. So I had three windows that looked down onto the green below. Um, I got put in there, and because it was an academic dorm, you had to have like I don't know 3 point something and above or whatever, 3 point whatever. I don't know what it was, but I fooled them. I got in. I don't know how. But my roommate that they had given me. Um, I think had got sick or something and had to leave. Can't leave school completely. And I think they never realized that they never filled it. So they never put another student in there. And I ended up taking both beds, pushing them together, creating like a full or a queen size bed in the middle of the room. A true story. And everybody would come to my room, and we would have little dance parties in my room at Bryan Hall. I also was working at the little South Green radio station, and all of the promo records. So I would take a crate of promo records up to my room, and I had a turntable, because that was back in the day, turntables.
Oh,
For
yeah.
all the kids listening, turntables. Anyways, and we would play all of the albums, and that's how I would decide what my set list was going to be that I would play down at the College Green that night. Because if you did the radio at night, oh my goodness, you would go at like 10 p.m. and you would go like 10 till 6 in the
Oh my
morning.
God. I thought you were going to say 10 to 2.
No, it was a long, 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 long night. And you would, because you would have people come in, and it was crazy, that was. But then I will tell you, that's what led me. Brian Unger, I have to give him a shout out. Brian Unger, he's another amazing alumni. He's the one that got me into WOUB radio.
Okay.
He
Love it.
he had this gravelly, sexy man voice he did the jazz on Saturday night. I think it was the jazz night. And he was great. He lived with Sarah. And it was Brian Unger and Bill Brand who invited me up and gave me the grand tour of WOUB at the TCOM building. It's not TCOM anymore. What is it?
Well, it's Schoonover Center is the new building.
Schoonover Center, yeah. And oh my gosh, the beautiful staff that was there running the radio stations there. But we had the FM pod and the AM pod, and you know, if you were really good, you made it to FM. They let you start in the AM arena.
Yep.
I'll tell you, there's a story. It's a little bit of a sad one, but it was one of those ones that I really remember clearly. I was in the studio with Brian Unger and Pam Griffiths. And Pam is another OU alum, and is when the space shuttle exploded. And we were live on WOUB and the middle of it. And I remember we all freaked out because the national NPR service took over the feed. And so what we had been controlling got taken away from us.
Right.
And that was, we were scared by that because we're like, wait a second, what have we done wrong? And then you heard the announcement come. And I'll tell you, I still can feel that moment, because it was so powerful. We were young kids. We were in the middle of listening to the news and delivering. We were part of delivering the news, right, to the people locally, and to have that moment was very intense. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, you've mentioned a lot of people. One of my questions was, is there a person, a figure who stands out to you? You've mentioned a lot of your friends. I wonder if there is, a faculty member, someone who maybe guided you in a way. Anyone else that you think about?
I think Sarah Schneider and I definitely share our love for Dr. Discutner. David Discutner.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was one I thought you might mention. Yeah.
Yeah. Separate from my experience at TCOM, which I had so many great, from Roger Good to, oh my goodness, there were so many great professors in TCOM. But I'll tell you, what David did, David Discutner, he was that professor who made you feel on the same level with him. He raised you up. He brought you into his dialogue and his conversation and made you feel heard and connected, right? In a way that, I think is just a teaching style, but he taught from his heart. He taught with passion, and you felt that passion. And I think that's who I am. I love to share and teach and share my passion, right, with others. And he did that so beautifully. It was INCO 101, interpersonal communication 101. And you think, like, what the hell is it? I remember my parents, INCO 101, what is that? And, the beauty is that it was learning how to have interpersonal communication. It was learning how to speak your truth authentically and to share stories that ultimately became the foundation for my career.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, it actually is making me choke up right now.
Oh. Well, Dr. Discutner is still around.
Oh, I
Great
know.
guy.
Sarah has kept us connected.
Good.
He, to that point, though, I will say that I learned to start to have a voice in his class. I learned that my voice mattered, and that I wanted to share that story and tell my stories. So whether it's from Ruth at the Athens International Film Festival
Right.
pushing me along to David to Roger Good sits in my brain.
Roger is a
Also,
gem. Mm-hmm.
yeah, another gem. I am so bad that my mind has gone blank. Uh, she ran the radio for a long while there.
And Soul.
Jan Soul,
Yes.
yes,
Bless her heart.
bless
Yes.
her heart. Yeah, Jan Soul was another unbelievable. Like, I remember, like, just wanting to be Jan Soul.
Yes. She was
So
so,
beautiful
yes,
and
so classic.
smart and classy, style, taste, and class, which is my Instagram handle, by the way. Um, uh, she was the epitome of style, taste, and class, and again embraced all these young students and made us feel part of, made us feel that she validated us and gave us leeway to do what we wanted to do. She didn't lock us up in a box. She opened up the door and said, "Come on in." And
Mm-hmm.
that's the specialness of that. Yeah. Oh, you. Oh my goodness, my heart is so big right now for kind of going down memory lane and remembering. It's critical that we do stay connected to where we came from, and to stay humble. We just finished season 2 of Legendary, and during shooting, Megan the Stallion, Megan the Stallion, won 3 Grammys, right? And a couple Sundays ago, and she showed up to work on Monday. She had won them on Sunday. Showed up to work on Tuesday, actually. And the beauty of it was this humbleness. She was so humble and so grateful for what had happened. And I think I try to do that too. I'm grateful. I have a lot of gold statues that I've collected, but
Yep.
I don't take them for granted. I know that it's not me; it's a team. We are a family that creates together and executes together, and gets to share these stories that are for folks who otherwise might not get a chance to tell their story or have their story seen. We did a documentary called Equal on HBO Max, a 4-part series that is really beautiful about the kind of historical perspective of the unsung heroes of the LGBTQIA movement. The ones that came before Stonewall. And
Yeah.
that's a piece I'm very, very proud of, that those individuals get recognized for their help in pushing the movement forward.
So good. Thank you so much for taking us on your trip down memory lane. My heart is also full. Selfishly, it's, a nice bonus I get from doing these interviews is that I get to take that ride along with you, and looking forward to sharing this talk with our alumni and students and community members. And Thanks for, being such a champion and staying in
Oh,
touch and hiring bobcats and coming back to
yeah,
campus.
we have a lot of OU
Yeah,
Bobcat interns.
yeah,
Yeah, and looking forward to hiring them on to various shows and productions. So we're absolutely thrilled. Colleen, thank you so much. I'm so glad that Sarah Schneider connected the dots for us.
yeah,
I adore her. I adore Ohio University. It truly poured the bedrock and the foundation for me to stand on strong out here in Hollywood land, in La La Land.
yeah.
I'm able to stand solid and remember all the beauty that came from OU.
We could not be prouder. Thank you again, David.
Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate it. Have a beautiful day.